Hey all, welcome back to my channel and my blog. Thank you for being here. This is blog 718, 719, 717 of the Journey to Life series. It's I'll link the video to the Journey to Life blog and what the intention was all about, and the person that thought up the idea, and just him going deep into the purpose of it and the benefit of it and the practicality of it. And yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. Imagine writing a blog for 7 years, how that would change you, and that type of practice and that discipline, how beneficial that could be. Yeah. So anyways, tonight, I want to talk about the point of bridging the 2 points, like bridging 2 opposing forces, or 2, polarity, bridging the polarity, I guess. Like, you have 2 opposing ideas or opposing beliefs, or, 2 points that are in conflict, like when you're at home with your partner and you guys are fighting, it's like these points that go into conflict. How, do you get out of that? How do you stop that? I can tell you, in my process with Destiny, I have been utilizing these tools for 13 years, and it's only in the last 4 years that I really come face to face with like needing these tools to support myself, because it's like where I face the real shit, and where I am facing like the real shit of who I am. It's like that deeper unconscious like those points that like you just don't see coming, and all of a sudden just fucking completely take you over. Me and my partner, we've had the most conflict in our agreement in the last 4 years than we did in the first 8. We're coming up on 12 years together. And so this is how I support myself, because initially when the conflict started emerging for him and I, like the real conflict, I mean, I guess we always had conflict, it's just like kind of how we dealt with it. In the beginning, we would go days without talking to each other. Like we both just inverted and just like went silent and just didn't speak. But obviously there was a lot going on inside of us. Like we were at war, but there was no conversation happening directly face to face like this, or, like in person. Obviously we lived together, but and it was like we just both took a stand, and just like, this is where I'm standing. I'm not fucking budging for no one, like just stubborn, egotistical, just like refusing to bend, refusing to change, refusing to like let the other win, And so that was like how it was in the beginning when we first got together and were first living together. Until usually I would just like break out crying, because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like I can't live like this. And it was always like, how could this work? Look at what we just did to each other. How could we do this to each other? Like, this is not going to work. How could we do this? And always our agreement is something I fell back on, and that's something for another vlog entry or blog entry, because that's a cool point that surfaced a lot in our agreement, the initial agreement, and how that was something that we fell back on and always allowed us to keep going. Anyways, later in we went through some really solid years together, and decided to have kids, and we got through all the fighting, and then we had our son Phoenix, and then the fighting happened again. And this time it was so much more intense, so much more volatile, so much more just like unhinged. And, for me, what I noticed about myself was I was always like, this is over. This has got to end. It's like, you don't think there's any way the 2 of you could work this out. The conflict was too intense, too much. No way this could be figured out. And luckily he didn't have that. He was very committed, like, we can find a solution, we can figure this out. And gratefully so, because I would have ended it. And if he agreed, it would have been over. So gratefully he didn't. He had that point of commitment with him. And finally I was able to start walking through that point of possession I would get into, where it was like, this is not going to work. We have to end it. It's over. Like, it's got to be over. I can't do this. I can't live like this. And then I finally realized, like, oh wait, this is programming. I can walk through this. And then I realized, like, oh, I was programmed with this idea that, like, if there's fighting involved or lack of communication or like any kind of misalignment, you just walk away. You don't come to the table and talk about it and find a solution. And so that was like a big aha for me in the last couple of years. Like, oh wow, I never considered, like, if you're fighting, you just, that's it, it's over. And then now I'm like, okay, we're having this fight, we're having this disagreement, we're having this argument. There's a point here that we need to communicate about to get us back on the same page. And we always get back there, but it takes that point of being able to come to the table, which is, I think, that's the bridge. Like, that's how you become a bridge, is you're willing to be like, not one side is right and not one side is wrong. They're the same fucking point. And so how do we get the points together and discuss, like where's the misalignment at, you know, without having to like point out what another person is doing wrong. And this is what I found for me and my partner was, like, I had to be willing to take responsibility for my participation, because it takes two to tango. No one is deliberately abusing someone, and no one is like there's not one party here. There's two parties at play. In terms of conflict or fighting or war or any kind of disagreements, there's two parts to this, to it, at least two, you know? So it's like each point has to take responsibility for their participation in the creation of what's here. And so, like, for me and my partner, it just, you know, like, became that point of like, we have to come to the table as much as the heels are dug in and refusing to talk about this. Just a little, if you can give just a little bit of willingness to talk about it, it can really just open up and release the whole point. And what I realized, like, with my partner and I, you know, it was like that point of, how can we expect the world to come together in peace and harmony when him and I couldn't, apparently, from my perspective. You know, that's like those moments where I was like, we got to end this. This doesn't work. You know, it was like, well, but do I really believe that the world can come together if I can't even, like, come together with my partner and be like, we can get over this and we can find a resolution that's best for all of us, him and I, in that context, you know? And so it's like that point, and we do, and we have now, and like it's strengthening us, you know? We're realizing more and more how who we are at home with our relationships that are directly in our environment day to day, how we interact, how we're working with those points is how this world system is operating. Another example of how you can directly change the system today. Start looking at, how are you relating to people? How are you interacting with people? Is it conflictual? Is there fighting? Is there blame? Is there judgment? Is there resentment? Is there pointing out what everyone else is doing wrong? Or is there like a realization of, I'm the creator, I'm participating in this, I'm here, I'm a creator, like, they're not doing anything to me, I'm not alone here, you know? Well, I am alone here, but like, you know, they're not alone, you know, I'm participating in what's happening. And anyways, I just think that, you know, there's a solution, there's always a solution, and no one's ever wrong, no one's ever right. Both parties participate in the same creation. And yeah, I just think it's really important that we realize that we are so empowered to create peace and harmony in our day-to-day lives, and that can directly create a world of peace and harmony. That is what's best for everyone. If we stop fighting and if we stop having war, and those that participated on the individual lives are the ones that are creating it on a global scale. So, you know, in Destiny, there was a man named Bernard who was so amazing. And he said one time, and I never understood this, he said, you could stop war. You can stop starvation. You can stop all the fucked upness in this world. You can stop it, but you choose not to. And that's within the realization of like, we're God. You know, we're the creators here. We created this. And that point of like, we can stop it, but we choose not to. And I never understood that. How can we stop it? How can I stop that? And now I know, by who I am as an individual and how I interact with my world. If I'm participating in patterns of war, I'm upholding the construct of war in this world. If I'm participating in, you know, points of anything else that contribute to this world, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, we're so responsible. And if we can take all the responsibility as the source, cause, origin, the secret sauce of like life, that is really our path to freedom. Because, you know, in taking forgiveness for all of it, we can just say, okay, now I can change all this because I've taken responsibility for it all. I'm the one who's doing it, so I can change it. And that's fucking powerful right there. That's fucking powerful. Show you my shirt. Equality. Power. So it's like, stand equal to everything that is here, and you are in fucking power and control of life. As, you know, what you see is best, you can create what is best. And yeah, anyways, that's it for tonight. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Hope you're well. If you have any feedback, I'd love to hear it. Okay, thanks.